Welcome, I'm Catherine Hadro, and this is EWTN Pro-Life Weekly. Pro-life promises. President Trump makes new commitments to pro-life leaders in a letter released last week. We discuss with a member of the Trump campaign. Marching on. We reveal the 2021 theme of the March for Life with the pro-life group's president, Jeanne Mancini. See Life 2020. Focus on the Family prepares to launch a pro-life online experience. Hear all about it. President Donald Trump has made new pro-life promises, including to fully defund Planned Parenthood if reelected, in a letter to pro-life leaders last week. In the letter, Trump highlighted his presidential pro-life accomplishments, ranging from implementing the Protect Life rule to nominating Justices Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court. He also made new pro-life promises, saying if reelected, he would work with pro-life leaders to fill the Supreme Court and lower courts with judges who will respect the Constitution. Sign into law the Pain-Capable Unborn Child Protection Act, the No Taxpayer Funding for Abortion Act, and the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act. And finally, Trump vowed to fully defund the big abortion industry, such as Planned Parenthood, of tax dollars. Some of these pro-life promises are repeated from a letter to pro-life leaders Trump released in the previous campaign. In 2016, Trump also promised to defund Planned Parenthood and sign the Pain-Capable bill into law if elected president. Ali Pardo is the Deputy Communications Director for the Trump campaign. Ali, welcome to the show. Tell us, how did this new letter to pro-life leaders come about?
Hey, thanks so much for having me. Well, the president wanted to reiterate his support for the issues and values that we all care about so much. He wanted to make sure people heard and looked at his record and looked at what exactly he's been able to do over the last 4 years. This is the most pro-life president in history. He has fought continuously to make sure that the unborn is taken care of and that our values are represented in the White House.
Would President Trump consider fully defunding Planned Parenthood by executive order in this current term? Why wait until he's reelected?
Well, I mean, that's a question for the president. I can't ever get ahead of the president. But what I can tell you is when you contrast what the president has done with what Joe Biden is saying he will do, you're talking about the extreme abortion until birth Democrat Party that is just so out of step, not only with the Catholic community, but with Americans all across the country.
President Trump wrote a letter to pro-life leaders in the 2016 campaign and made pro-life commitments. Some are the same in this letter, such as signing the Pain-Capable bill into law. What is the Trump campaign's message to pro-lifers who are not confident the president will fully follow through on these commitments if reelected?
This is the promises made, promises kept president. He has delivered time and time again. Like I said, he is the most pro-life president in history. He has shown his support on this issue, shared our values, and shown that this is something that he's never going to just push to the side. You can tell by the judges he's put on the bench, the over 300 judges that he has put on the lower and upper courts, including the Supreme Court. This is a president who is committed to this issue. I honestly don't know much more you can ask for. I mean, he has delivered for my community, for the Catholic community, and for all of us. And that's something that we really, really should look for 4 more years of, especially, like I said, when you contrast it with where Joe Biden is on this key issue.
Looking ahead, how much does President Trump plan to emphasize his pro-life position at the upcoming presidential debates against Joe Biden?
I mean, I think he's going to lay out a clear contrast. And in that letter that you're referencing, he asked us to help him lay out that clear contrast. When you contrast his record of being a pro-life president and that of Joe Biden, who's sitting here talking about abortion until birth, talking about infanticide, when you're talking about the Born Alive bill that you just mentioned, where Democrats are supportive of letting a baby die that's born alive, that is aborted. I mean, these are atrocious policy positions that the Democrats want to make a reality and that our president has stood strongly against.
President Trump says he will nominate judges who respect the Constitution and do not legislate an abortion agenda from the bench. Does the campaign foresee the Supreme Court being a significant issue to voters this year? Back in the 2016 election, there was an empty seat at the Supreme Court.
Well, in 2016, I think we had an empty seat, and that is what made it a top, if not the top issue for a lot of voters across the country. But what you're seeing here is that people should pay attention because the next Supreme Court justice could decide the direction of our future, of our court, and of a lot of these key issues and key decisions that we're looking to be readdressed. So I think that this seat is just as important as the Kavanaugh seat, just as important as the Gorsuch seat. This next seat could decide the future for many people.
Finally, Allie, what is the Trump campaign's message to the pro-life movement today?
Our message is the president stands with you. He stands with us. Like I've said, on broken record, he is the most pro-life president in history. He will continue to be that president. He will continue to put our values and the values in protecting the life of the unborn to be one of his top priorities. He has shown us that, and I think actions speak louder than words. This is a president who's not only said it, but who has done it.
Allie Pardo with the Trump campaign, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks so much for having me.
Joining us now via Skype for pro-life analysis is Marilyn Musgrave. She is a former U.S. representative for the state of Colorado and today is the Vice President of Government Affairs for the Susan B. Anthony list. Congresswoman, welcome back to the show. Trump released a similar letter to pro-life leaders during the 2016 campaign. How does President Trump in 2020 compare to then candidate Trump in 2016 on the life issue?
Well, first of all, he really made history in 2016 when he gave a written commitment to pro-life Americans. It was absolutely amazing. And here we have a recommitment at this point. What is so great about this is he made promises in 2016 and he's kept those promises. He's worked very hard to end taxpayer funding of abortion here and abroad. He's worked very hard to end funding for big abortion industry led by Planned Parenthood. He's done an amazing job of setting a pro-life example for state legislators around the country to follow. In fact, during these 4 years, more pro-life laws have been passed in state legislatures than in any other time since Roe v. Wade. And then he's protected conscience rights of pro-life Americans, and he's also changed the federal bench. I mean, more than 200 outstanding judges, constitutionalists, have been put on the federal courts. It's just amazing what this president has accomplished.
Looking back on the 2016 pro-life commitments, not every commitment has been fulfilled yet, and some of those commitments have been repeated in this new letter, including the commitment to sign the pain-capable bill into law and to defund Planned Parenthood. Congresswoman, is it more likely President Trump will accomplish these goals in a second term if they could not be accomplished in a first term?
Well, having been in Congress, I can tell you that Congress can do a lot of good. Congress can create a lot of ill. And this president has faced challenges from the Pelosi-led House. He's faced challenges from Leader Schumer in the United States Senate. But we know that this president will use every constitutional effort he can to promote life. He's done a great job with administrative action, especially with Health and Human Services Director Azar. So he's worked very hard. And when we look at the situation, we see that the Unborn Child Pain Capable Act has been passed in 21 states. And when you poll on assisting babies that have survived a failed abortion, it polls at 77% support. So this president has faced unparalleled obstructionists, but we see the extremism of the other side, especially when we look at how people around the country respond to Unborn Child Pain Capable Act and giving medical assistance to those infants that survive a failed abortion. So life is winning in America under this president.
As a former member of Congress yourself, how many pro-life goals are all contingent on Congress? And if we have a pro-abortion majority in Congress, what can a president do to still make pro-life advances?
Well, first of all, we need to remember that this president is very strong in his pro-life commitments. He will not give in. He's won concessions with leaders Pelosi and Schumer in negotiations. He has done everything he can. Now, we know that it would be a terrible defeat if we lost the pro-life majority in the Senate. We're hopeful that we can have a pro-life majority in the House of Representatives, but at a minimum, we must reelect this president, and we must maintain our pro-life majority in the Senate, and again, work very hard to elect pro-life individuals in the House. This election, and our ground game is giving this message to voters, this election is literally a matter of life and death. We must reelect this president and maintain our majority in the Senate and work very hard to have it in the House of Representatives so that these bills can pass and be signed into law.
Marilyn Musgrave with the Susan B. Anthony List, thank you for your time.
Very good to be with you, Catherine.
Thank you. The administration has taken a few notable pro-life actions in recent weeks. Just this week, Vice President Mike Pence traveled to Pennsylvania for a pro-life rally. It marked the third stop in his Life Wins tour with the Susan B. Anthony List, in which he became the first sitting vice president to visit a pro-life pregnancy center. And just last week, President Trump sent a letter to pro-life leaders recommitting to significant life-affirming goals. That brings us to this week's call to action. Go to ProLifeWeekly.com to send a thank you to both President Trump and Vice President Pence for their commitment to the pro-life issue in recent weeks. Pence's pro-life tour in Florida, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania, along with Trump's letter to pro-life leaders, reflects the administration is keeping the pro-life movement at the forefront right now. As pro-lifers, let's encourage the administration to continue making the pro-life issue a priority issue. Send your message by going to ProLifeWeekly.com. We are less than 5 months away from the next March for Life in Washington, D.C., and the president of the March for Life is here to reveal what the 2021 theme will be. The annual pro-life event draws in tens, if not hundreds of thousands, to the nation's capital each year. The March for Life is a peaceful protest of the 1973 Roe v. Wade Supreme Court decision that legalized abortion nationwide. This year's coronavirus pandemic has forced most pro-life events to become virtual, but March for Life organizers are moving ahead with 2021 plans, with the event scheduled for January 29th. And joining us now via Skype is the March for Life president herself, Jeanne Mancini. Jeanne, welcome back. We are excited to hear what the theme of the 2021 March for Life will be. Can you reveal what that is now?
I can, and thanks so much for having me, Catherine. Our 2021 theme is Together Strong, Life Unites. Together Strong, Life Unites. And if I could just say a word or two, every year we really try to discern well what the theme should be for the March for Life, because given that we're the largest annual human rights peaceful demonstration, the theme allows us a springboard to communicate and to educate about what the most pressing needs are of our time. And so, you know, in years past, we've had adoption, a noble decision. We've had pro-life as pro-science. We've had pro-life and pro-woman go hand in hand. We've had all sorts of, I think, wonderful themes. But this year, with a 2020 that's been so unusual in many different ways, the idea of uniting together and how each of us brings something different to the table, how the variety is beautiful, and how together we're stronger, it just seems like the right theme.
Right. Jeanne, tell us more about that. Considering the year we've all had, tell us about the planning and the prayer that went into deciding this theme, Together Strong, Life Unites.
So, I mean, well, you know, personally, I'm just a person of prayer. I try to be a person of deep prayer, and so it's something I personally spend a lot of time praying about. But and I know different staff members feel the same way and act in the same way. But we will consult with each other on the staff, and then we consult with kind of experts in the field, so to speak. So whether that's, you know, different groups with messaging, or different graphic designers that just have a really artistic eye and understanding of these kinds of things. So we get lots of input and feedback, and then ultimately make the decision when it feels right. So sometimes it's easier than others. This year, the unity theme seemed obvious, but coming up with the actual language took a little bit longer.
You know, Jeanne, abortion does divide a mother from her child, and talking about abortion also can divide this country. Can we overcome that? Can we achieve unity here?
We can. So, Catherine, you're pointing out such a good point. So, the theme is a positive one, life unites, but the opposite is the case, that abortion divides. As you said, abortion divides mom from her baby. It divides mom and dad from each other, siblings from the baby. Really, abortion divides love from a culture. And so, our goal within the March for Life and working for the pro-life movement is to build a culture of life, a culture of love, of course, where the family is the foundation of that, and choosing life heroically is the foundation of that. And so I absolutely do believe it can be overcome. Anything can happen with God's grace, and it's very much our mission.
Do you hope or expect that this theme of Together Strong, Life Unites will draw more people to the March for Life, including people who typically would not consider going, or people who have been attending other marches this year?
Well, I certainly hope so, because with the theme, we choose really exceptional speakers, some very well known and some that haven't yet been announced, some that have. But I would certainly hope that the theme and our wonderful lineup of speakers and just the bottom line issue itself would draw many, many out. I mean, we've been asked a lot, will you march again this year? You know, with everything going on. Listen, we marched during the blizzard of 2016. We've marched during government shutdowns. We marched after 9/11. We will march again this year. We've marched for 47 years, and no sacrifice is too great to fight this human rights abuse of abortion.
It will be another historic march, I'm sure. Jeanne, it is an understatement to say this time is a time of great uncertainty. You know, that being said, what is your message to prospective 2021 March for Lifers should they start making arrangements to travel to DC?
You know, everybody has to make that decision on their own, you know, considering their own situations, et cetera. So, but I certainly would be, and I obviously will be there this year. I think that standing for life and standing for inherent human dignity of every life, from conception to natural death, is all the more important. This year, when there is so much unrest, so much division in our country, we need to show that we are stronger together and that love and life unite us. They make us stronger.
Can you make any announcements about who will be at next year's rally quite yet?
Well, I can. One very exciting announcement, but stay tuned because there will be more, is that Matthew West will be our musician prior to the rally. So Matthew is a huge get for the March for Life, and he's just a fantastic, phenomenal musician. Of course, he had a song in the movie Unplanned with Abby Johnson's story. So we hope that everybody, in addition to all the issues that we already named, and namely the biggest issue why we march every year, that people will come to the march to also hear Matthew's wonderful and inspiring music.
That's so exciting. And finally, Jeanne, can you just give a brief word of advice to our pro-life viewers on this theme of unity and how they can contribute to unity on this topic of abortion?
Yes, so I mean, it goes right along with our beautiful Catholic anthropology and even an understanding of the Trinity. It's that, you know, none of us are alike. We're all very different, but when we come together, we're stronger. You know, Catherine, you have a gift that I don't. I have a gift that you don't, so to speak. But when we're together, melding those gifts together, we're much stronger. We're a fortified wall, I guess you could say. And so for each of your viewers to, you know, look deep in their heart to pray, what is the gift that God's asking me to bring to help build a culture of life in these days, and to realize that there's something irreplaceable that you can do and that we need you to do that.
That is beautiful. And just a reminder to all our viewers, you can get the latest updates on the 2021 March for Life by going to marchforlife.org. Jeanne Mancini, president of the March for Life, thanks for your time in this exciting announcement.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Coming up, last year it was a live 4D ultrasound in Times Square. The event drew a massive crowd. This year, what focus on the family plans for this year's virtual pro-life gathering? A preview of See Life 2020 when we return. Welcome back to EWTN Pro-Life Weekly. I'm Catherine Hadro. Pro-abortion activists went into a social media frenzy last week following a U.S. senator's pro-life tweet on abortion pills. That is this week's Speak Out segment. Senator Ted Cruz led a group of 20 senators last week in urging the FDA to classify the abortion pill Mifeprex as a, quote, imminent hazard to public health and as a significant threat of danger, which should result in its removal from the U.S. market. The Texas senator then tweeted about the letter, writing in part, quote, pregnancy is not a life-threatening illness, and the abortion pill does not cure or prevent any disease. Shortly after, the word pregnancy started trending on Twitter because pro-abortion activists and a few media outlets depicted the message out of context. The president of NARAL, Elise Hogue, responded, Ted Cruz has never been pregnant and clearly knows nothing about maternal mortality rates in the U.S. and Texas. After similar tweets from other abortion activists, Newsweek magazine released an article with the title, Ted Cruz faces backlash for FDA abortion letter stating pregnancy is not life-threatening. The online confusion surrounding Cruz's tweet is based on the misleading claim that he said pregnancy is not life-threatening. But Cruz stated pregnancy is not a life-threatening disease, which it is not. Pregnancy is not a disease. It is the opposite. It is a sign of health. Absolutely, life-threatening complications can arise when a woman is pregnant, and that's why maternal health care is critically important. But abortion pills don't treat a woman's health. They don't do anything for a woman's health. They only end the life of her unborn child. Abortion activists distracted from this reality in this latest social media frenzy, which only distracted from the effort to actually care for women.
Hello, world. Do you see me? Though hidden, I am here, waiting for the rest of my life to unfold. My entire life is before me, if only it is allowed to continue. Be my champion.
Focus on the Family is hosting what they call a nationwide transformational online experience. It's called See Life 2020, and it's happening September 26th at 8 p.m. Eastern. Pro-lifers joining the premier event include NFL star Benjamin Watson, Live Action's Lila Rose, and abortion survivor Melissa Ohden. We are now joined via Skype by the president and CEO of Focus on the Family, Jim Daly. Jim, welcome to the show. There are a lot of virtual pro-life events this year. What sets See Life 2020 apart?
Well, I think number one, just great speakers. Number two, there's going to be wonderful music. Some Nashville talent is creating an album just for this event, and that'll be available to folks. In addition to that, the number one thing is a live 4D third trimester ultrasound of a baby in the womb. And it's a real simple message. Let's just show them the baby, especially those that are critics of the pro-life movement. I don't see how you defend that position. But we will show them the baby that is alive and doing well in the womb. And again, anybody who thinks that taking a life in the womb is some kind of therapeutic is just wrong. And I think it's time for the nation to see it.
Why is it important the pro-life movement continue to stay focused on ending abortion and attend events like See Life 2020 amidst a very chaotic year?
Oh, it really is, and we get that. And, you know, it's kind of a contradiction when we look at the COVID-19 crisis and we're worried about children going back to school and is it a health risk for them? And at the same time, people look the other way when we're actually terminating the lives of children. 60 million children have died through abortion. And I think it's good news that the country is waking up. The pro-life movement is gaining momentum. More and more people are not comfortable with the issue of abortion. Something like 63% of the nation does not support late trimester abortion particularly. So when you look at it from that perspective, there's an awareness that's growing in the country and an uneasiness, rightfully, about the taking of innocent human life.
Your 2019 pro-life event, Alive from New York and Times Square, was a massive draw last year, and the crowd was able to see live 4D ultrasound footage. This is a reoccurring theme, it seems, of seeing life. Why is that important to see life?
Well, I think it is so self-evident when you actually see the baby in the womb. That's what's so great. The irony was, even for that New York event in Times Square, the Jumbotrons, the owners, Clear Channel, ABC, and others, wouldn't rent us or lease us the Jumbotrons. We had to bring our own Jumbotrons into Times Square, which worked out perfectly. But isn't that an irony? They, like Planned Parenthood, won't let the public or the woman, in Planned Parenthood's case, see the baby in the womb, because they know that a majority of women, when they see that baby in the womb, realize it's not a blob of tissue, it's a baby. And they change their mind. And I think the culture over time is going to increasingly change its mind in its attitude about abortion, because it's terrible. It is the social rights issue of our day.
Absolutely. And sometimes, that visual, seeing life, that can really convert hearts. We're all really looking forward to this event. Please visit focusonthefamily.com/C-life. Jim Daly, President and CEO of Focus on the Family, thank you so much.
Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you. And that does it for this edition of EWTN Pro-Life Weekly. Until next time, we'd love to hear from you. Find us on social media at EWTN Pro-Life on all social media platforms. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, we're there. You can also send us a message by emailing prolifeweekly@ewtn.com. We love to hear from you. Remember, life is a gift. Your life is a gift. God bless.